I was hard stuck master in TFT from set 6 to 8, but I recently climbed to challenger after I made 5 big changes to my approach to the game. I'm going to share these 5 game-changing tips with you so you can climb infinite. Tip number 1, adopt a beginner's mindset. The Buddhist monk Shunryu Suzuki said, "In the beginner's mind, there are many possibilities, but in the experts, there are few." When I first got to master in set 6, I thought I had made it. I had broken the diamond ceiling. I thought I knew everything. I was going to climb infinite, but then I got hard stuck for 2.5 sets. The big thing holding me back was that I thought I knew everything. I thought getting stuck at 0 LP master was just low rolling and getting unlucky. But as time went on, it became more and more obvious that this wasn't the case. I had to unlearn the idea that I was an expert at the game. When I thought I knew everything, I stopped learning. I didn't give myself the opportunity to open up to new ideas and concepts that challenged my knowledge of the game. To truly get better, I had to give myself permission to be a beginner again. Identifying as an expert, any mistake I made was a threat to my identity. I had to be perfect, and when I wasn't, it felt bad, really bad. But as a beginner, mistakes were expected. I learned to change my relationship with mistakes, from viewing them as enemies to seeing them as friends. Mistakes became learning opportunities. Tip number 2, get comfortable with discomfort. The psychologist Anders Ericsson said, "If you never push yourself beyond your comfort zone, you will never improve." Once I got to master, I got comfortable with my gameplay. Too comfortable. I resisted trying out new strategies and tactics. I thought I was an expert, so why should I lean into discomfort and take risks that would lead me to fail? That was a recipe for disaster. Since I was always in my comfort zone, I stopped learning. Growth requires discomfort. The psychology professor Jeffrey Kotler said, "In order to attain real growth, you must often be willing to experience intense confusion, disorientation, and discomfort." So instead of seeing discomfort as the enemy, I learned to make friends with discomfort. That meant experimenting, trying out unfamiliar lines and playstyles, anything that would throw me out of my comfort zone. The more comfortable I got with discomfort, the more I was able to learn.
Not really sure what I should be playing, not sure what I should be rolling for. I'm just 8th. I'm just 8th. Wow, holy shit. What the like, I don't get it, man. Like, why? Relax, it is just a game of TFT. LP is temporary.
Tip 3, focus on process over outcome. Jeff Colvin said, "The best performers set goals that are not about the outcome, but about the process of reaching the outcome." When I was hardstuck master, my emotional state was tied to whether I won or lost. I was too focused on the outcome, and I wasn't getting any better because I was focused on the wrong thing. Winning is not an input you can control. Winning is the outcome of a good process. If you invest in the process, the inputs, the winning will naturally emerge as the outcome. When I switched my mindset to focusing on the process, the outcome began to follow. So what does a good TFT process look like? It means focusing on learning over LP.
From the lessons I learned from like scrims and regionals, like playing to learn instead of play to win, I think I approached like world scrims with the same attitude, and that would mean that like in scrims I would be like very willing to take like risky lines or like lines I hadn't tried before and see if they work out, and just focus on gaining experience rather than just like getting some like stats that don't really matter in the end.
This is especially true at the beginning of a new patch or set. You should spend the majority of your time exploring, experimenting, and learning. Then you can apply those learnings to the minority of the time where you're exploiting and climbing. Taking this approach means you have to learn to be patient. You have to trust the process. Learning takes time. It doesn't happen overnight, but if you invest in the process, the outcome will work itself out. As Robert Louis Stevenson said, "Don't judge each day by the harvest you reap, but by the seeds that you plant." Tip 4, generalize instead of specialize. The statistician Nate Silver said, "The fox knows many little things, but the hedgehog knows one big thing." Foxes are considerably better at forecasting than hedgehogs. When I first started playing TFT, I hard specialized. I'd play one comp over and over and over again until I got a hang of it. Then I'd start to climb, but I'd inevitably hit a ceiling since there'd be plenty of situations where I'm forcing that comp from a bad spot. Plus, whenever a patch would nerf that comp, I'd have to start from scratch again. The investment that I put into learning that comp would rarely translate into useful knowledge for the future. Research shows that generalists outperform specialists. Generalists are anti-fragile to change, while specialists are extremely fragile to change. What does this mean for TFT? It means learn the game at a broad level before you learn it at a deep level. Sure, you might be able to climb with a comp 2020 no pivot, but the moment that comp gets nerfed, your LP will go into freefall. This is even more relevant as TFT moves from 2 to 3 sets a year. Practically, this means learn a variety of comps. At the end of the day, you're not learning specific comps. You're learning the general category of how to reroll 1, 2, or 3 star comps, or how to play in a 4 or 5 cost meta. You're learning how to focus on the aspects of the game that don't change across patches or sets. Generalists are able to learn these underlying patterns of the game so that their knowledge compounds over time. When I started focusing on generalizing and process, the dots started connecting. I began a new set by playing a wide range of lines. I stopped caring about LP and focused on learning. It took longer for the results to come, and it felt uncomfortable, but that patience would eventually pay off. Tip 5. Learn from others. The inventor, Thomas Edison, said, "I regard it as a criminal waste of time to go through the painful ordeal of ascertaining things for oneself if these same things have already been ascertained and made available by others." Most of my time spent in Master was playing on my own. I spent most of that time reinventing the wheel. It was a horrible waste of time. You can only learn so much on your own, and it's much slower to go through the learning process on your own when others have already done the hard work, and you can just learn from what they did and the mistakes that they made so you don't have to go through all of those mistakes. Be humble, accept help. Watch pros play on Twitch. Watch YouTube videos, learn and contribute to the competitive TFT subreddit. Get coaching from metafy.gg. Once I began actively seeking help from others, especially with coaching, I started to climb rapidly. Summary. To review, these 5 tips will help you learn how to learn more effectively. 1. Adopt a beginner's mindset. 2. Get comfortable with discomfort. 3. Focus on process over outcome. 4. Generalize instead of specialize. And 5. Learn from others. If you can master these 5 tips and make them into habits, you'll be able to master the set and patch update cycle and create a learning process that will help you climb regardless of how much the game changes. Remember, LP is simply a measure of your knowledge of the game. The better you're able to learn, the higher you'll climb.